Welcome, everybody, back to ClassHorrorCast. It's a full moon, and me and Aran are backpacking through the moors. It's a quiet night, but not too quiet, because in the distance you hear, "Ow!" I can't do it. I'm going to break my voice. But, yes, I have grown hair, more hair than I already have, and I'm starting to burn up!
So you're not like him then, having to have like a full suit of hair like glued to his body.
No. I am already like a Polish guy. I have more hair than I can ever want. I could, and I thought it was appropriate. I was gonna do Scotch, but I'm like, fuck it. I'm gonna do some red wine, and it's
Oh,
called
nice.
Bar Dog. Bar Dog.
I wish I had red wine right now.
Did you get some moobs or anything?
No, I actually don't have any moves.
So if people don't know, that's Heineken as our joke. I thought it was different. I want to get in the mood for this film. But yes, obviously I am one of the co-hosts of the show, the Raptilian. You can call me Tomcat. And obviously the main host, Aran, is here with me.
Horror boy. And I actually thought about it more and more, and I think it's a good idea. I'm gonna try and get some sort of a cool Horror Boys t-shirt
Yeah.
design done.
I was thinking the
There's
next
surely
time.
got to be more Horror Boys than us, right?
Yeah, 100%. And the next time, yeah, I was gonna say something offshoot, but we don't need to do that. Next time I order shirts from the site or whatever, I want to get the ClassHorrorCast design on a nice black shirt because I'll wear that everywhere, right? And like in all the fans out there, right? The best way to support us is us Patreon and buying merch. And I think that in the future we're gonna have probably a bunch of cool designs for both of our shows, especially ClassHorrorCast, because there's this ability to kind of morph a shirt, like some merch into this like horror aspect of different movies or cool. Like, there's definitely ideas that I definitely could throw at you.
And like to flip that back on your show with Strange Brew, like if anybody who's interested in horror movies, I would imagine you like a cool shirt.
Yeah,
That new logo you have
I know,
is
it's so
like my
cool.
favorite thing ever.
I know it sucks that Tron, the guy that created he's gone. Like he doesn't go on social media anymore. I haven't even heard from him in like almost like months and months because he's gonna take a break from social media and shit. And I'm like, I don't really blame him, but I feel like his art is awesome and he could have excelled, you know. But if he ends up popping back in the scene, then I'm definitely gonna talk to him about especially some horror designs, because if I pitch him a good, like exactly what we want, I feel like it'd be awesome.
Yeah, I probably got lost in translation the last time when I tried that. I don't know if you can hear that. There is literally like a monsoon outside of my house right now.
Is it that windy?
It's like so rainy and so windy. It's like
I actually can't hear
wild.
it. Really?
Okay, that's good.
I'm not a
Maybe I
fan of
fixed my microphone.
yeah, there you go. So it's a full moon once again, and we're talking about American Werewolf in London. This is by far one of my favorite horror films, and I'm sure it is for many people. It's a cult classic. And the crazy thing is that I saw bits and pieces of it when I was a young lad. I'm sure I did. And I know I knew about the movie and all that. I don't know, but something didn't draw me to it. I don't know if I was like in that phase where I missed it and then I got into like my slasher film stuff or something, because I was obsessed with werewolves, Dracula, Frankenstein when I was very young. Like I was drawing pictures at like 8. I always remember the one where I don't know what Dracula movie I saw. It's probably Dracula 2000. Who knows what it was? And it's like Dracula standing like this he's standing with his arm in the air with a sword up in the air, and then there's just body parts everywhere. Like I don't know why I drew this everywhere, just like blood and body parts. But they were like, how like people draw stick figures. I would draw their bodies kind of square looking because I was just getting into art. There's like
You're like
square limbs.
you're like, for anyone who gets the reference, in Superbad, Jonah
Yes,
Hill's character, I can't remember his name, but when they find the lunchbox and he has all the like elaborate drawings of dicks.
but it's like severed skulls and shit. And you know
No,
what's
it's just
weird?
dicks.
You know what's weird? At least 3 times on the podcast, people said I sound like Jonah Hill. I do not hear it, but I have heard numerous times.
You know what? I could see that though. Now that you say it, I get like it wasn't something that jumped out at me, but when you say it, I could probably, if I really wanted to, in my mind, like force it.
Yeah. I have to think of a line where he's like, "That's not an ID, man. You have one name."
I love that scene as well. It's funny that you
Nick
mentioned that
Lovin.
that exact scene, but like, and he's like, what does he say? He's like, yeah, good fucking job, faggle.
Yeah, I know. And he's got like his he's like, "What are you, Aladdin?" And he's like wearing his vest or whatever. I feel like there's an opportunity at some point in the show where not covering that, but covering like scary movie would be a lot of fun for a commentary.
Yeah,
Like just like let's drink beers and stuff like that. And but I was always fascinated by werewolves. All this kind of like universal monster stuff. That's why I was really excited to get into this. Is like my grandfather introduced me to Abbott and Costello. Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein is still like a great movie that maybe even worth talking about, or I would say maybe doing a commentary on where we get it kind of buzzed because it is a fun movie and the way that they have it set up and the little jokes that they have. And I love that stuff when I was younger. Like I'll probably show it to my own kid. You know, and I feel like if you kids are
yeah.
too raised on this technology nowadays, but I feel like if you start them young on older movies, they'll come to appreciate movies more. You know what I mean?
100%. I've actually started. I've really started to like dive back into buying physical media again from like thrift stores and
Yeah, yeah.
different places like that, just to have like every single movie I could ever want in my collection in case the
I'm
internet gets
trying.
blown up or
Yeah.
shit like that. And I'm actually recently I picked up a lot of the Abbott and Costello stuff.
So good,
I
man.
think I might have actually picked up the Frankenstein one sealed like not that long ago for like
Really my
50 cents.
favorite. What? I had the whole collection, like in a box. It's like a tin
Nice.
box thing. I don't know. I just always enjoyed that dumb kind of humor, almost like Three Stooges. My grandfather loved the Three Stooges, and also like I I loved Halloween, loved horror stuff, loved the Universal monsters. I was thinking about getting my mom for a Patreon episode, especially the one where we show where we're gonna do a Patreon episode where we talk about us when we're younger and emo stages and stuff like that. I think it would be quite fun. But when I was like 8, I dressed up like a werewolf. And my mom made me like a button up like suit top, and she took like fur. It's just funny because the fur didn't really match. Like it looked like almost like zebra fur on one side, then there's like brown fur on the other, and it was all coming out of my jacket. And then we like glued hair to my face, got fangs, did the whole thing except for context, I think. And I don't even know what I look like because I can't even remember it, but I know she has a picture somewhere. And I was looking through my old pictures and I found me wearing the jacket, and I'm wearing this weird green mask at my grandma's house with like something I got from the dollar store, some sort of like axe. And then I remember I put all this makeup on and stuff like that. I was fairly young. When I was decked out, I was like, people were impressed by my costume. My mom helped me do it. And then that night she always remembers how like annoying it was to take it off. Cause I was like in the tub, and I was like, I want this shit off my face. And then she was like having to rub like the spearmint or whatever it was off my face. It was like stuck to me though.
Do you know what's really bad as well? Like that whole like vivid experience you just explained, and like even though like I haven't, and probably most people listening haven't had that exact experience,
Yeah.
I was already in my head going, "Oh, I remember a time I dressed up as Dracula and we done this and we done that and this happened and this thing and
Yeah.
whatever." And I feel like kids nowadays just won't have those kinds of memories at all.
No, they won't. I'm gonna make sure my kid does. I'm like, you're going in this costume that will take me 3 hours to make. Okay. I feel like my
I
kid's
don't know,
gonna
it's
either have
just
a really good childhood or a very bad.
but I don't know. I feel like there's something to that. Like there's so many different like memories and shit that I can pull from that
Yeah,
like
yeah,
are priceless to me. Like shit like that. Like you just explained, that's something that you'll take to the grave, like that you'll
yeah.
never forget. And I feel like that's another thing that's, a little bit lost in
On the new generation.
yeah, like and even in film and movies and stuff nowadays, it's like there just feels like there's just something missing. It's become quite like sterile and just like
You know why? That's a
well,
strange
yeah,
new
I do.
podcast topic, but everybody knows why.
Here's a
There's
quick question actually before we
yeah,
move on. Have you seen the movie Twister?
yeah, with
Bill
yeah, yeah,
Paxton and Helen
yeah, yeah.
Hunt. Do you like
Yeah.
that movie?
I haven't seen it in a long time. That's like my brother, because my brother's a big fan of the show. My brother loves that movie.
So I absolutely like that's one of my like childhood memories, like with my granddad, who basically I would I would say is the reason that I got so into movies and especially into horror was because of him.
Mhm.
And like I have so many vivid memories of like I can tie it back to that movie, but I could tell you exactly what we were doing in like, like the living room, or he was sitting in his chair and I was on the couch, and I remember we done this and we done that. And like this shit's like 20 something years ago.
Yeah.
So much so, right, that I actually started a
I don't know how you have money for any of this shit.
the only reason I have money for that shit is because the dude that does the tattoo lives like 5 doors down.
Oh man, I would love to like. There's so many things I want to do. Like I want to, because I have the caduceus, the one that I drew up with that reptilian DNA. My plan next is to do like pyramids behind there, outline my Jedi mind tricks because I drew it and it's way too close. Um, But then I want to do a tattoo, like, as I want to start doing my arms. This will cover my half sleeve, and then what I want is me getting abducted by a UFO and like all this recording equipment coming up. Like, it won't. It'll just look
Oh,
like a
that'd be
guy.
so cool.
So I want to do that, and I have so many ideas. And I feel like I have to. I feel like on this arm, do like a montage for horror, because I have all this is like all my tattoos are music, mostly all of them, or conspiracy stuff. And I'm like, man, I really gotta. I feel like I always looked at tattoos like yours, like with the red and black and the whole horror concept, and I always wanted that, but I just kind of did my own thing. Like this, it says
Um,
last shot, and it was so I wouldn't get arrested again.
do you have? Oh, dude, you wouldn't believe the amount of tattoos that there could be another episode actually for
Yeah.
Patreon. You wouldn't believe the amount of tattoos that I have covered up.
Really? Oh
Yeah,
man,
like I have some fucking Arabic scripture down
Alhamdulillah.
from the back of my neck, like halfway down
Yeah.
my spine.
Weird.
And like I've had all these other fucking like behind the ghost ship tattoo. There was like some bullshit there. I had some shit underneath this tattoo. So like I've had like
When we hang out for the first time, we have to go get tattoos together.
I was just gonna say as well, do you have somebody who does your tattoos, or is there somewhere that you like if you had the money right now, is there a place where you'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go there and
Probably. I got a buddy. Weirdly, his name is Billy. Also, he's like kind of he used to hang out at a bar that I used to work at. But like, I trust his work. He wasn't that good, to be honest, at the start. But he did get better. And he's gotten fairly good now, but it takes time and practice. So he has a shop not like near, and I just trust their work because he actually tries to like. But then and then there's like Chelsea's mom, my wife, was like, "How many tattoos are you gonna get? You gonna get more tattoos?" Because she's like trying to combat me on my conspiracy stuff because I'm always like everything's poisonous for you, and then she's like, "What if there's poison in the ink that you're getting in?" I'm like, "There probably is. All right, there's probably poison in everything. Okay, it is poison. The breathing the air is poison nowadays." It's like
well,
crazy.
this is it. Like, so it's just you kind of have to just like pick your poison, I
I
guess,
know.
huh? See what I
I want to
done?
have my whole body covered. Like the Jedi mind tricks thing with everyone's like, oh, you have just a Chinese tattoo on your arm, and it's
I've
like the
never seen that.
it's the Jedi mind tricks logo. And so the rose people are like, what's with the roses? And I was like, it's funny because then I have Marilyn Monroe or whatever, and the roses. People were like, what's with the roses? Because the Jedi mind tricks tattoo offshoot. Sorry, everybody. I wanted it on my neck, and then the roses to go up my ear. And then Chelsea's like, no, you can't do that. My dad will not like that. And then
I
now
want
I'm
neck
really good friends with
tattoos
him.
so bad.
Yeah,
Like at one point, dude, I was getting like
yeah.
here.
I don't think I need that, but if I run out of space, then I'll go towards my neck. But
Because
I've seen dudes with like the neck tattoos, and to be honest, they look like they go to jail like every other weekend.
do you know what though? Maybe if both of us get neck tattoos, it'll be a good way to ensure that we can never have a real job again, and then we'll have to
100%.
make this our life.
I know, true that. So that's why you subscribe, support, and give us 5-star rate and reviews, please. So let's get into this. American Werewolf in London is a 1981 British-American horror comedy film directed by John Landis and starring David Naughton, Jenny Agutter, and Griffin Dunn.
Not a great surname.
No, a gutter. That's how I pronounce it. The film's plot concerns two young Americans, David Kessler and Jack Goodman, attacked by a werewolf on a backpack holiday in England. With Jack killed, David is taken to London Hospital, where his disturbing apparition of his deceased friend informs him that he will transform into a werewolf on the next full moon. Wait. It's so good though. Like, to be honest, this is like one of the better concept in my opinion. I love kind of like Dracula movies. Like, I'll watch any Dracula movie, any werewolf movie. That's why I'm surprised I haven't seen Dog Soldiers. But I feel like because it didn't have the name werewolf in it. And then when they were going through in 1981 when this came out, there was like fucking 4 other werewolf movies that came out in that
Yeah.
same year. Did you know that?
Yeah, but you're like even Rick Baker, like who done the special effects for this.
Yeah.
He at the time, so they had come up with the concepts, and I think John Landis or whatever couldn't get like the finances behind him to get the movie done.
Yeah.
So obviously, people had to continue to work like to live. So Rick Baker went off and he was actually working on another movie when he got the call from John Landis, and he was like, "Oh, hey Rick, all that stuff we don't know. Well, I finally got the money together so we can, come to London and we can start getting this thing done." And he was like, well, I'm actually working on a movie at the minute, so I can't really do that. And he was like, all right, what movie is that? And he was like, oh, it's called The Howling. It's a werewolf movie.
I've never seen The Howling. I've never seen it, and I tried to find it to watch it because I'm like so intrigued. And there was a bunch of sequels, like 5 or 6 sequels or whatever. I'm really intrigued to watch that. I love werewolf movies like Ginger Snaps. Like
Yeah, I think you'd like it.
Ginger Snaps disturbed me, dude. Which I think we'll cover at some point because there's some scenes in there that just make you uncomfortable.
And it's a trilogy.
Yeah, actually, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I recently got there's a company in the UK, and I kind of like loosely work with a publicity company. They send me like review copies of their stuff, and they sent me their Ginger Snaps Blu-ray re-release trilogy thing.
Yeah,
dude, which was quite cool.
It's that movie, I saw it like when I was 13 or something like that. It like fucked me up. Like I was like, oh, like it made me like cringe. And I feel like it's a possibility for everyone. That's why I support the Patreon. Maybe we'll do a commentary on it and then like a quick hour talk because it is a prevalent movie within this culture and stuff like that. And it's something that is creepy. Do you know how much this made?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, I'm gonna look it up.
Oh, I thought that was going to be like a segue into, well, it made this much money.
Budget, but like they're it is interesting that you know where John Landis got the idea from though?
So the budget was $10 million estimated.
Yeah.
On opening weekend, it made 3.7 million, and the worldwide gross was 30.7.
Incredible. And
so
how the fuck
20,
didn't it get
million.
How didn't it get a sequel?
Yeah, I know, right?
Did shittily, but I like you said you eventually want to cover because for everyone that doesn't know, we did a commentary on American Werewolf in London. I had a lot of fun doing that. It's on the Patreon, so go subscribe to ClassHorrorCast Patreon. But I've never seen American Werewolf in Paris. It always kind of looked trashy to me, and I heard some more stuff about it, and I feel like that's going to be a commentary for the Patreon, or something we're going to really go off the rails talking about it. I'm just surprised this never got a sequel and how well it did and how of a cult classic it is. I'm surprised they never tried to redo it. I feel like they would ruin it now if they redid it. And this was who's the guy that made The Shining? I can't remember his name right now. Why can't I'm stumping on this? Stanley Kubrick. This is one of Stanley Kubrick's favorite films.
Doesn't surprise me.
It says a lot. That guy knew some shit though.
Do you know what else actually you were saying about like I'm surprised they haven't remade it or done a reboot? Don't speak too soon because the killer of all horror movies will probably get his hands on it if he can. Fucking David Gordon Green.
I'm sorry, but Blumhouse is not doing any favors.
They've gotten like for a company, right? At one point, I would have stabbed somebody if they had told me that Blumhouse was bad for the horror community.
Yeah.
Like years back, because like they were putting out bangers. Like they gave us some great movies there one after another. But like in more recent times, I feel like when they really solidified their deal with Universal, Universal kind of used them as a pawn to be like, hey, look, we have money to buy this franchise or this IP. Can you ruin it for me so I can make millions?
Because what did you think of The Exorcist? You said it was trash, right?
Oh, I thought it was fucking horrible. I thought it was awful.
Of course, they're ruining. I don't know if it's like on purpose, like they're like getting paid by BlackRock or something to be like ruin everything for everybody, including horror.
Here's a funny one, actually, before we get off the topic of
Yeah.
American Werewolf in Paris. So, here was something I spotted a couple of days ago on the trivia for this movie.
Mhm.
So, 4 American work permits were requested by the British government for production. So, one for John Landis, one for Rick Baker,
One
one
for
for Dave,
David Nunn, but not
yeah,
for.
and one for Griffin Dunn. The first three were all granted without question,
But
but the
they're
British
yeah.
Office of Actors Equity questioned the necessity of a work permit for Dunn, claiming that there were already plenty of young American actors living in Great Britain who could portray the role of Jack. It was only when director and screenwriter Landis threatened to rewrite the script and retitle the movie An American Werewolf in Paris that
Which
the
he didn't
Equity
want to
Office
do anyway.
reconsidered.
Which he didn't want to do that anyway, because he didn't speak French. That was like the main thing because he was toying with this idea. And hearing how he wrote the script makes me feel like I should really knuckle down and try to write a script with you maybe because I feel like it's quite possible. But like for us to put our heads together and create some. I feel like I could even reimagine a werewolf movie or a Dracula movie if I really thought about it. I don't know. My brain is weird like that way. Especially when I made a mushroom trip. Just be like, hey, what would be crazy? You know what I mean?
Do you know what I would toyed with the idea for so long, like for years, and I don't know
Yeah.
why it's always been like in the back of my mind burning. I would love to do my own take on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Oh, we gotta do that.
But like not like I wouldn't even necessarily like need to set it, in like the 1800s.
Yeah.
Like that idea, but like modernize it.
100%. That's a great idea. No one steal our idea. I got remind me off air. I had a thought about something that we could write out together, which could be kind of fun. Not like it's just not even a basic idea, but like something that could get us in a direction to go somewhere. But like this is why this is gonna evolve, and we're gonna be doing some really fun stuff and reimagining actually like sequels to movies is our plan. For some of this show is kind of throwing some different stuff in the mix and really doing some different type of stuff. It is kind of funny because Jack's character is one of the best parts of this film,
Yeah, which is wild when you
and
hear
that
that.
dude does spot on.
He's so good. That that image you brought up there of him where
Yeah,
like the skin is flapping.
I know.
So I didn't know that. So I always remember that as like a freaky, like, he's talking and that piece of skin is like flapping on his,
Yeah.
and I was like, that was such a clever technique. Turns out that when I listened to Paul Davis's Beware the Moon documentary,
Mhm.
that wasn't intentional. So Rick Baker, when he was doing that makeup, they would always have a spray bottle and he would spray down that side of his face so it would look like
Oh,
moist. And it
yeah.
was some of the appliance started to peel away, and they just put that shot in because it looked so horrific with the
Kind of
skin.
perfect, man.
Yeah, there was actually another scene that was edited in there, and it was cut out by the censorship board where he eats a piece of toast off of his bed thing, his little table,
Yeah, yeah. Because he's like, can I have a piece of toast?
and it was longer, and like he eats it, and it comes and the piece falls out through a hole in his neck.
Dude, it's like I don't know. I love his character. This is why I got drawn into the film when I was old. Like I must have like I said to you like I definitely seen bits and pieces of this when I was younger, but then I didn't really revisit it till like 2 years ago, and then I was like, this is great. Like I watched it with Chelsea. I was like, this is fucking like this is so well done in the way that it builds up the film. You're not bored any throughout the whole film. There's nothing really that's like drawing your attention away from it. And then, like I said, last year I watched it on mushrooms. Like this year, in the summer, I watched it like 2023. I watched it on fucking the one of the strongest mushrooms that I've ever fucking had in my backyard while having a fire going, and it was just like, and I feel like that scene, it's so weird because that scene at the beginning, right? They're backpacking and they go to the bar, and because we can draw it into that kind of scene of like them kind of entering that bar scene and feeling kind of uncomfortable of the situation. There's this, they walk in, everyone goes silent, and then there's this kind of weird haze that falls over them, so to speak, of like that there's something going on that nobody's telling them about that everyone's in on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
and
you
it's
walk into a Freemason club, and there's a guy like cornholing a dude in the back, and you're like, what is going on here? And they're like, this is just your normal everyday bar. We're not doing any Masonic rituals. You know what I mean?
there's it's funny because when you hear Landis talk about it, he had always said, like, when he wrote the screenplay and stuff, that he likened the two guys to like being men from outer space, like they were on the moon or some shit, like so out of place, like shouldn't have been there. And
It's
it's
kind of
funny,
cool.
like looking back on it now, the scenes after that when they're walking on the moors, it does actually kind of look
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
way it's shot. Like not that they're on the moon, but you know what I mean? Like that idea of like just being so out of place where they are, like this, like you should not be here.
No, I agree, and that it kind of is like that. Like even when they walk in, it's just like kind of everyone stares at them. It's really bizarre, and then he's like, "What's that on the wall?" It's just like the it's like, oh, that's a pentagram to ward off evil spirits or whatever. But this whole idea that gets like brought into it, and then when I was like, I was tripping balls. Like the shit was called, it's called Makilla, and it's like I've tried many different strains over the past 2 years, but that shit was like, I feel like a dome was like around me. And then that's the night where I told you that like I kept having a feeling like someone was standing behind me, but it wasn't like a fear thing. It was like an awareness thing. Like that there's something outside of my eyesight that I couldn't see. So like people that don't understand how what psilocybin can do to your mind is it's or what you might see through the veil or whatever. But that scene when they finally kind of go out to the moors, they're kind of kidding around. They're like, yeah, let's get oh, you're off the beat, like stick on the path. And then they kind of look around, right? And they're like, huh. And they realize that they're like they straight off just having fun, talking like dudes. And like on the commentary, we talk like what would our reaction be? And who would it be that would be end up getting killed? And I feel like realistically, it would be you, and then you would haunt me. I feel like
Probably.
that's the way that it would probably go, and I would be like, and I want to get in the whole concept of what it'd be like to be a werewolf, but, and then that scene when he's like on the ground dead, I feel like 'cause I was tripping so hard, and that scene just like clips in and then it's gone. It actually looked more graphic and messed up to me when I was on mushrooms than when we watched it like having a couple beers like the other day. There's something
There's
about him
something
like
about
laying
the
there like flattened almost. It's weird.
yeah, and the sound in that
Oh
scene
yeah,
as well is like her like the screams and like just the noise of the werewolf and stuff is just like fucking
horrifying. That
grim. And I actually
John Landis
forgot about
wanted
that
that.
part where they shoot and like you look across and it's a dude.
Yeah,
I had
yeah.
completely forgotten about that.
I always thought like, especially when I watched it the first time, I thought he looks over and he sees his friend. But then when you realize that he looks over and he's like laying there, and then he looks over and he sees that it's a man that attacked his best friend, because he hears Jack screaming. According to John Landis, he wanted it like just like screaming in pain to this agony, and then the sounds are so disturbing. And then you see his like body decay, and then as David's laying there, and he kind of like looks over, and he sees just a bullet holes in this naked man, and then it fades out. It's such a perfect scene to be. The whole movie set up as a werewolf movie is the best that has ever existed and probably will ever exist.
So here's a question for you. Is there anything you don't like about the movie, or is there anything that you would change about the movie?
Hmm. Let me think about that as we go through it. Let me think about it.
Okay,
Because I
I feel
might.
like that's a curveball because I was just thinking about that. I
Yeah,
was
I
like, wait a
know.
sec, is there anything I don't like about this movie or anything I prefer?
I would like to see more nude scenes of David Naughton
Yes,
because he's
sure.
naked through the whole fucking film. And David Naughton got his start as Dr. Pepper. Let's play it.
I drink Dr. Pepper, don't you know? And the taste is making peppers everywhere I go. I'm a pepper, he's a pepper, we're a pepper. What's a pepper? Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too? The taste is gonna knock you out. The more you drink, the more you shout. I'm a pepper. Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too? Be a pepper, drink Dr. Pepper. Be a pepper, drink.
And because of his nude scenes, he was let go from Dr. Pepper. The shit where he's like, I'm a Dr. Pepper. That guy that's like, what's a pepper? And then he like the like little thing he belts out. Like, what the fuck is that with that shit?
Cringe, fucking
It is super
cringy.
cringy. I watched both the commercials and I was like, I had to add it in because I'm like, I doubt they do copyrights 30 seconds and it's a fucking commercial from the 80s. But it's like, it's so cringy, and it's funny that that's where Dave Naughton is like perfect for the role that he does. And as you said on the commentary, you find something weird about him, don't you?
About
David Naughton.
yeah, I don't know what like I've tried to think about it more and more. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like his facial expressions or
Yeah.
I don't know, just something. He has this weird manner about him where I'm like, he's fucking creepy, dude. Even when he's not like transforming or
Hey,
anything.
we would like to maybe talk to him at one point. So
Yeah. It's I love you. You're a really
we
cool
love.
guy.
No, I would love to talk to him about his
So would
experience.
I. No, I'm not knocking him in any way.
No,
I don't
no.
mean. I don't mean as in. Let me rephrase that. Not as in him as like an actor. More like
Yeah.
his character in this movie.
Yes.
Kind of like. I don't know. It was like he's like too nice or he's like too much of a good guy or something.
What it is he, as we talked about, and I kind of adds to the film because I'm like, is that something I don't like about it? Is I don't know that he's too comfortable with the situation in some regard. Like he's not freaking out. Like if that was like you and you were dead and destroyed by some monster, and then I'm remembering, and they're telling me no, it was a man, and I feel like I'd freak out and be like Tupac, right? I'd be like out of that hospital. I'd be like walking on my ass, and be fucking hanging out my hairy ass, be like hanging out as I'm like fucking running through the hospital. No one would probably stop me because of the '80s, but
It's weird, like, cause even like the scenes where she's like reading a book or some shit, and
yeah,
he's like asleep, but then he wakes up and he's like, "Oh, you're a really beautiful girl, you know."
yeah, I know it's
And then
some weird shit.
yeah, and then she's like, "Oh, I thought you were sleeping," and then he's just kind of
That
like
relationship's weird though.
he's just like laying on the pillow like sideways, looking at her. He's like, "I was sleeping." I'm like, "What? What are these things?" Like, I was like, "It's just so weird." Like,
I know, 100%. It's so weird. The whole like, it's why this is like we said in the commentary is the just the relationship with them is weird. I was like, if you know a chick for it takes a month for a full moon, right? So essentially, because we're like, I was like, hey, how long? Because when does he turn? Obviously, the full moon. So then it would be about a month. No, I never. So I get into conspiracy theory how there's like, there's 13 moon cycles, 13. But we have 12 months. Pretty weird. Are we skipping timelines and shit? There's some weird shit out there for conspiracy
dun,
land.
dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. You know what's funny? They're very funny. Before, like, me and Billy, before we got the soundboard and all that stuff on Strange Brew, we would constantly be like, dun, 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 because I've been editing old episodes to, like, re-release them or put them on Patreon. And then we finally got it, and I was like, we have to do this because it's like, dun, dun, dun. We'd always, like, make the noises with our mouth. It's too funny. But that relationship's weird. So they have a month, and they're already like, I guess a month to get intimate makes sense.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'd be like, willing to fucking, throw myself off a bridge for somebody after a month, especially somebody like that I had no prior knowledge of. Like if it was something where you had all this previous like friendship or something, or it was always like somebody that you were like really into since, school or college or some shit. But like, it's literally like, I met you like 2 weeks ago and
they
now
kind
like
of play it out well though. It just happens, and you just kind of notice it.
yeah, and like I suppose whatever from her perspective, I can only speak from the male perspective, but like I mean most dudes in that situation with like a hot chick like that would be probably the same where he just kind of helps himself. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'll go to your apartment. I don't mind. I'll make myself at home."
Yeah. If you walk in and I'm jerking off, you can join,
It's like, okay, so I got a place to stay.
Yeah.
I get to
It's a
fucking
pretty nice apartment.
nude her all the time and like feel her up and she'll like
Do you know
feed
there was
me and
more
shit.
sex scenes, right?
Yeah, and that was all like, yeah, cut down.
The shower scene, they have more shower scenes. And
They
like
were
I
also
said on
going
the
to show
commentary-
his ding dong, but his character is written as a Jew and he's not circumcised, so they couldn't put his ding dong in there.
Sorry to put you on the spot, but I'm I'm very glad that I'm circumcised.
So am I very glad that you are.
Are you not?
No,
No? Is that an Irish thing?
I don't know. It must be just like a European thing.
It's definitely a European thing.
Yeah, it's just like
I feel like
we're
it's
just all
way
like
more European.
filthy, scummy motherfuckers.
No, that you such a fucking weird offshoot. But according to a rapper I listen to, this is funny. He says that they circumcise their dicks to keep you calm. So are you angry? Are you
Interesting.
more angry than normal people?
Probably.
Do you have
Yeah,
vengeance
probably.
against the government?
Well, I have that anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
actually don't know
so-
what that is.
I'm
Yeah, but it's
sorry.
something. It was something I was kind of like intrigued by, like that difference on two sides of the world. Why it seems to be
100%.
different.
Yeah, Billy's uncut, and I constantly fucking tease him about it. I call him the wizard sleeve, and I don't know if he really appreciates it, but he always gets angry. He's like, "It looks the same hard. What are you talking about?" Sorry.
Also,
too
actually,
much
speaking of
information.
Ireland and circumcisions and nudity and whatever, so the Irish censor at the time, I think it was a guy called Frank Hall, maybe.
Yeah.
He banned one of the no, he didn't ban it. He had it all censored, so there was like, I don't know if it was so we call them here. It's a quad poster, so it's like the kind of
Quadriplegic.
the like landscape style poster that you would see
Yeah.
in like a movie theater.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And there was so see the way he's there, like with his hands obviously
Yeah,
covering his
weird.
dick or whatever. So
Yeah.
in that poster in Ireland, they put a black box over his from like from his elbow down.
Weird.
They just had a black box because even though you couldn't see his dick and you couldn't really see his ass or anything, they were like, no, we're blocking that.
So.
Yeah, it's really bizarre.
Well, I'm gonna get into some stuff, but you should definitely look up some taglines for this film. So, do you know why he got the inspiration to write this film?
I've a very vague knowledge potentially.
In 1969, my favorite number, John Landis was 18 years old. At 18, dude. And was working as a production assistant on Kelly's Heroes in 1970. Why can't I do that, man? I spent too much time going to jail. It's like, come on. I would love to have been involved with anything with movies. Like I know somebody that gets cars for movies. Like they're
nice.
They get cars and they film stuff. They got all the SUVs for what's that movie? Oh man, it's gonna or that show. About the ladies dressed in red. Everyone loses the God damn, why can't I think of this? They need fertility.
Does it have the chick from The Invisible Man? The newest one?
Yes.
Handmaid's Tale.
Handmaid's Tale. So he got all the SUVs for that. He doesn't like horror movies, but the only movie he did work on was that one with Paris Hilton. I've never seen it. It's got like a guy in like a gas mask kind of suit. It's gonna drive me insane.
Is that 9 Lives? No,
it's gonna drive me insane now. And I'll be like, oh, that's it. It's always this. But he worked on that set, so essentially he gets cars, and like I had the opportunity in some regard to maybe be like a trucker, and stuff for them. But I'm like, it's long hours. I'm like, I can't do that while I do like 2 podcasts and everything else that I do. Speaking out against the government, fucking takes time to do. I'm trying to think. It's gonna drive me nuts. Oh, Repo, the genetic.
Oh
opera.
yeah.
Is that any good?
I don't know. I know of the cover, but I've never actually seen it.
Weird. Yeah. So pretty crazy. He was pretty young in Yugoslavia, and the first idea for it, why he got the idea for American Werewolf in London, was he saw a man get buried feet first, wrapped in garlic, because he feared they feared he would come back to life. Obviously, mental floss, the article I'm getting from this, doesn't want to say that it was gypsies. Your favorite thing, Aaron.
And by favorite, Tom, means my least favorite thing. I would literally, if I could, I would bring it back that you could burn people like that at the stake.
Modern day Hitler here. I probably definitely have something. Here you go.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm out of control. I apologize for that.
That was a pretty good one.
I don't know what it's like, right? We don't have that shit, and all we have is too many immigrants. And oh, you guys also have that.
Yeah, we have that now as well. Woo, double whammy, great.
So crazy.
That makes me angry.
I need to put some more cool shit on my
100%.
the soundboards, man.
We are laughing. And we are very good friends.
It's like
That's a good one.
shit that we have to say. So it's crazy. So he saw this, like these gypsies, like it was like 40 of them burying this guy feet first, like like he's Jimmy Savile, like on a 40-degree angle, wrapped in like garlic because they feared that they would come back from the dead. And he's like, no one would make a fucking movie. Oh, he said, Landis had no success with the script in reality. No one would make the fucking movie, Landis said in 2012, before noting that by 1981, the tide had changed with his career. And obviously with movies featuring lycanthropes. It's kind of funny because like the idea, like there's like the Howling, the Wolfen, Teen Wolf, Full Moon High. I've seen Teen Wolf. Wolfen, I actually am curious about watching. Some of these movies that passed me by somehow. Full Moon High, I would watch this shit just for the sake of giving it a try, just because it's a werewolf movie. And I saw a clip from, I think, Full Moon High, and I was like, that kind of looks fun.
There's another, if you're into werewolf movies, there's another one, and it was actually probably my second or third podcast interview. I said third. It was a guy called Paul Hyatt, I think is his name. He has a movie called Howl, and it's set on like a train in the UK, I think it is. The train, it's like they're on the train at nighttime, and it stops in the middle of nowhere on the tracks, and they can't figure out why. And like the train conductor gets off to like see what's going on. He gets torn apart. They don't know what the fuck's going on.
That sounds fun.
Oh, it's actually really fun.
I'll give any movie a once over. I watched Basket Case after all these years of hearing about it, and it was fucking awful. Whatever people want to think, I still think it'd be funny to do a commentary on it with
that will be a good one, yeah.
But it's fucking so weird. It's the weirdest, like, I was like, what the fuck? I could make this in my backyard. Just kidding. I could need a hotel and stuff, but it was such a weird movie that I always saw in Blockbuster. I was gonna say Blockbuster.
Yeah.
So what the fuck is that?
Jesus, I know what you have on your mind anyway.
I know. It's like I was gonna make some outlandish joke. Don't do that. And I always saw that cover, right? Always saw the cover. Never watched it. Was like, I'll give it a try eventually. Finally watched it. There's all these different sequels I've still not seen. But the first one, I was like, I was watching it, and I was definitely like ripped out of my mind in like having a drink or something. And I was like, this is so weird.
That was the first ever Steelbook Blu-ray special edition set I ever owned. Was Basket Case.
I feel like we have to do a commentary on that movie just because it is bizarre. And like me and Aaron said, when we do these episodes, you always hear of us because horror is such an encompassing thing. It takes over both of our lives, right? It is kind of funny because he shopped his script around everywhere and actually got him jobs. Like, because his script was well done, it was written well, but people were like, is it a comedy? Is it a horror? And they couldn't grasp the concept that it was like both.
Yeah, like I know a lot of feedback that he had gotten, and he's like said this in so many interviews, was everywhere felt like it was too scary to be a comedy, and then other places felt like it was too funny to be scary.
So weird.
It's just kind of weird.
I'm gonna bring up some posters, and we'll talk about it. I might even bring up some more, maybe.
Just to kind of I think add on to that as well. I think it just goes to show the amount of people that we like hold in really high regard. You know, like the likes of John Landis, Wes Craven, all these different people, and even maybe people like a step down from that we all regard as like, you know, these like big Hollywood guys who make these movies we all love. The amount of times that I've spoken to people or watched documentaries or listened to interviews or whatever, and they talk about shit like, oh, I spent like 15 years trying to get this made and everyone told me I was an idiot.
I know.
And now, like, some of those movies are regarded as like some of the best movies of all time.
And this is what I'm saying about how I feel like if we put our heads together, there's a possibility we could create something pretty ingenious, in my opinion. And that's not toot my own horns. I've always wanted to do this, so why not? I'm only gonna live for so long in this physical reality in this moment, so why not fucking mess around? Yeah.
It's like my great Irish granny always says, "You'll be dead long enough." There you go.
True.
There's one for you.
That's true. I like that one. Yeah, because like his because he shopped it around. It is kind of weird. There's so many things. So here, like, while you want to look up taglines, if you
I
have
I have them here, and actually to touch on that when you said about like him shopping it around, and when I said about the idea of so many people, you hear like the behind the scenes, and they're like, oh, I tried for 10 years to get this made, and everybody told me I was a fucking idiot. Like even Eli Roth, most recently with Thanksgiving, he kind of proved that like you can do that kind of movie, and it can be fun, it can be enjoyable, and it can still make money.
Mhm.
But I often wonder, right? Does anybody who maybe passed on some of these projects and then like, down the line, like 10, 15 years down the line, when they look back and go, fuck, I can't believe I told that guy he was an idiot.
I know. Well, look at like how much those weirdos from Miramax end up like probably destroying films and making it worse than it could have been, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The Weinsteins. You get like,
Oh, you
I
were
was
saying
only
that
one Weinstein into that shit. They're both into that shit.
you were saying that they were really cool and you aspired to be like them. Is that what you were
Aaron
talking about?
loves defaming my character. It's like what his number one passion is. Maybe you're the one with the CIA backdrop and you're trying to
Do you know what? I just always do that to put the heat on you so people don't think I'm up to any spooky with my
Give me some
Jimmy Savile
taglines.
glasses. So we have this one's strange. Well, I feel like it's very fitting though for 80s and even probably into the 90s. This would have happened a lot. John Landis, the director of Animal House, brings you a different kind of animal.
That's what I actually like that. That's what I was gonna fucking say. Is he did Animal House, he did Kentucky Fried Chicken or where the fuck. I've seen that movie once. Maybe I actually kind of want to give it another try. But he also did Blues Brothers, which didn't watch until me and a co-host in the past covered what's his name. The main character, the Animal House, Blues Brothers, John
Belushi.
John Belushi. I was like, why
Funny,
am I
actually, you
blanking on
mentioned
this?
him. Funny you mentioned him. There was a couple of the studios that were interested in this film, but only if the main characters were played by John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd.
Why? They're both massive cokeheads. Like Blues Brothers, they spent like so much money on coke, dude. It's like crazy.
No, right? I would not change anything about this film and the
No.
casting, but the other side of me would give anything if you
To
could
see that.
if you could give me a version of this movie with the two of them as the main characters.
Hey, give it 10 years. AI will be able to do it. Honestly.
Like I was trying to picture Dan Aykroyd's big dumbass head.
Oh yeah. Or who dies though? No, who definitely dies? John Belushi. He has to, because he has to be that comical friend that like sits there and was like decaying.
That would have
Yeah,
been so weird, man.
Yeah, he's probably reincarnated somewhere on this planet. He's Matt Rife now.
Well, thoughts on him actually, without getting too in deep on that.
I liked his YouTube specials and some of the stuff he was doing, interacting with the audience. It's funny because I thought he was pretty tame on his Netflix special, and then my brother was like, "Oh, like no, people are pissed about it," and I'm like, "Weird." I thought that was pretty tame, considering I thought he backed off a bit, but I don't know. I like really raunchy, fucked up comedy. Like if you got to push the boundaries. You look up Ben Bankus. If I could ever get Ben Bankus on the show, which I feel like might be possible, he's a Canadian comedian, but he like does some really like fucked up shit. Like we have off topic real quick. We have like the health minister Margaret Chow or whatever. Or no, that's the new mayor of Toronto, and he does like a full blown like making fun of Asian accent. And like, oh, we got some fun in game. Like he does, like it's really bad, and he does not care. and he actually got the Tate brothers mad at him. They were like, "Oh, this guy likes to make fun of mentally handicapped people," and then so he's like riffing about that now.
I need to send you. There's a Scottish comedian called Frankie Boyle. I'm actually going to see him live
No way.
next month. He's actually coming to the town here. We have like a big
Sick.
we have the National Opera House in the
Yeah.
town here. So like once a year, right before Halloween, they host like the Wexford Opera Festival, and it's like this
Yeah.
big worldwide fucking it's a lot of bullshit. Like, but he's playing in that venue, and I need to send you some stuff with him. He's like so like grim and like raw. Like he makes so many grim jokes.
I had a weird thought. I was like, you know what? Why can't you like get married to like your hetero best friend, right? Well,
You know, I often thought about stuff
we'll
like
just
that.
get
You know,
married. You know what I mean? I'll move to Ireland, and then we'll just like have our wives too.
I often thought about that. I was like, wouldn't that be so much easier?
We're like pirates with maidalage because pirates would get married to their best friends because they'd be bored.
That's
on
how
the
we could
ship
just
all
tell
the time.
people. We could just be like, yeah, we're pirates.
It's just like, just because like I would love for it to be easy for me just to travel and to see you, and for the fans, the amount of ideas and skits and stuff we'd probably come up with sitting in a room like every other day would probably like blow people's minds of how creative and crazy we can probably get together.
It's fine, right? Because in 10 or 15 years, we'll both be living in a cube.
Pod.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll just be like locked in a little pod like the start of Alien.
100%. Just give me the taglines. I'll bring in the posters, and we'll talk about some of the makeup effects.
So we had that first one. That's probably my favorite, to be honest with you, because
Yeah, it's kinda
it's such like a nostalgic, like 80s, 90s, like
Yeah.
video store feel. The next one is Beware the Moon. Everyone's heard that.
Yeah,
Typical.
typical.
A masterpiece of terror.
Yeah.
This
But
one,
that's also been done.
this one's a really weird one. The Monster Movie,
That's stupid.
which is strange. And then there was one more for the 20th anniversary reissue, which was 20 years later, The Moon Rises Again.
No, the first one's the best.
Yeah, the first one's the best one.
So I'm gonna bring up some posters, and then I'm gonna go through Google, and we're gonna bring up some posters too. So everyone knows the basic poster that we have in the background. I feel like this is kind of cool.
That is from, I want to say the Arrow video re-release, or potentially the Beware the Moon
As that
documentary.
random guy, like the dude from the.
Oh
bar.
yeah, up above the fucking thing. Yeah, that is a bit weird actually.
Okay, because he's like, "Don't tell him." What do you it makes more sense to be the other guy that's trying to like inform them about what's going on. Yeah, kind of. I like it. Kind of dig it a bit. You know, this is cool.
That's freaky. I remember like the images of, so like him in mid transformation, and then like that weird face
Yeah.
to the
this
right
one?
hand side. That always fucking like stuff like that though as a kid, man, always freaked me out. I'd look at that and be like, Jesus Christ, what the
We're
fuck?
gonna
is
talk
that?
about the transformation scene very soon. And then obviously
What
this
is that
one-
nude thing up in the corner back there?
Oh, what? It's them getting a little down dirty. She
Her
must have showed her
nips out.
titties, man. Did we not see that?
No.
Did Japan do it? Did the
Delete the
Japanese do it?
commentary. We have to do it again.
I know. Gotta do it on the Japanese one. This one is like just very basic. I'm not like down for that shit. This one's real weird.
Do you know what? Right, that one back there though, with like the image of him, like I'm assuming it's supposed to be like he's moving. That one you said it was basic. The next
Yeah.
one, yeah. I feel like as a kid though, that
Oh,
would
yeah.
have like intrigued me. Like I would have been like, what the fuck does it really look like?
Dude.
What is it? How can I see it?
I told you about that movie called Sick, and it had just a clown on it. Me and my buddy watched it, and we were like, thought it was horrible. This one's kind of weird. I was gonna say, look at the image in the corner, like of David or what's his name, Jack. It doesn't like. It looks like he's very happy.
He looks like fucking Freddy Krueger from some of those later movies
I
where he
know.
starts to look like he has like pancakes stuck on his cheeks.
100%. Let me bring up some of the ones on Google. You know, it is kind of like that without.
Don't bring up any of your pornographic tabs now.
No, I will not. I'll make sure. But like, I don't know. There's some things about like Jack's character, the movie would not be the same without him having these dreams that, like, I remember first watching the film, right? Like, the first time that I've seen it in a long time, so I was like a kid or whatever. And seeing where he's running through the forest, like, with how they cut it to it, I almost thought that he was doing that. Like, some of the dream sequences, you know what I mean? I'm like, I almost thought that was part, like, that it was in the film, like, it wasn't a dream.
Yeah. I could see that. I like that one down there, that like kind of purple colored one.
This one. Right?
I like that. I like that artwork.
They look, yeah, it's sick. There's a lot of weird ones about like this one, like kind of like the blood dripping.
Is that John Landis in the corner?
Yes, it is.
That's so
Like,
weird.
look at this guy. This white guy created this movie. It's great. I don't like this one. I know that one was like probably one of the main posters at the time because they didn't want to show too much. It's too simplified, in my opinion.
And that to me doesn't show any reference to a werewolf. It just looks like a fucking cat.
It's fine because like we've covered some werewolf stuff on Strange Brew. The loup garou is like what werewolf means in French or whatever. Fucking French people. This one's weird.
Okay.
So strange. It's kind of fun because like to bring up some of this stuff is like that's cool.
I like that.
Fucking sick art.
I wanted to get something like that tattooed, like as a massive chest piece.
Dude, the more we talk about this movie and then we did the commentary, I'm like addicted to this shit. This is weird. It's just Jack on the poster. I probably will get at some point American Werewolf in London tattoo. But I want to get some shirts now too. Like I got fucking scammed. I told you about that. Where I thought I was getting some stuff from Color Cavity that was super on sale. And I gave up $50 and I can't get it back now.
I was so close to falling for that.
Man, I did it and I was like, oh, it looks all legit. And then nope, it definitely was not. And I complained and they acted like it was like just an honest mistake. No, they definitely scammed me out of $50.
Scumbags.
Oh, there we go. Anyway, so like it is kind of like, let's get back into this. So obviously the design of that transformation scene is incredible. For all the fans out there, the full commentary is up on Patreon, but we will be putting up at this time when this comes out, it will be out, is our reaction to that scene. And I showed Billy it, and Billy laughed because he laughed the way you say his name. Billy. Oh, Billy would do that well.
Billy.
He was like, I love the way he says my name or whatever.
Billy. You say his name.
Billy. I've always wanted to do a Canadian accent, and that was actually like, you did it.
Wait, no. Now I'm going to be conscious of that. How do I say that? Billy.
It's just because you have an accent. So he's like,
Billy.
Like how, a British Billy. It's like how it's like.
I would never notice that. Like with the Irish accent, I never like feel like it's any different. Like English, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's like a noticeable difference.
So obviously, the first special effects makeup designer and creator Rick Baker said to Naughton when they first met, "I feel sorry for you." Naughton had to have his mold and his body made for prosthetics, and on the days when his character was supposed to transform, the actor got picked up at 4:30 a.m. and taken to the studio where he sat in a chair for 10 hours without nothing to do. Naughton said it was a long flight that never gets there. 10 hours. 10 hours. Like, fucking...
Yikes.
You think Freddy Krueger, you think he's complaining, Robert is complaining for his like 4-hour makeups. It was probably like 6 hours or whatever. But come on, 10 hours is extremely long. And, that whole scene is like terrifying. This, especially when he's like growing, they should add a little bit of they should add a dick. 'Cause technically he would have had a dick, but like that scene of him, like, stretching out and his body starting to morph.
What would a werewolf dick look like?
It would be a lipstick. So you would see the balls, you wouldn't see all of it unless he was horny.
Or as people say here, dog's Mickey.
Yeah, which we say like a bottle of booze is, which is so weird. It is crazy because the transformation scene is something that's so epic and everybody knows when it comes to horror and stuff like that is just how, and he wanted it to be painful. When John Landis pitched this to like Rick Baker, he said he wanted it to be extremely painful, which I feel like sometimes it's even the werewolf scene in the original Wolfman, from way back in the day, Universal Studios, he kind of just sits there and he just like slowly turns, and it's very silent. It's just like a morphing scene, and he wanted it to be like a consistent scene without cuts, which is never going to be achievable, but they did the best they could. But like this idea of that your human body morphing into something that is naturally not would be painful, as we see nowadays with some stuff that's going on. But it would be painful. And it would, like, the idea that your hand would morph and it would start to like grow, your bones would shift, even if you still would survive that, right? The idea of you transforming into some sort of hideous creature that your body anatomy is not used to, it would be like, it'd be probably the most painful experience that you would ever have. Even if you, at the end, right, the next day, he's all like I feel great or whatever, but that initial pain. And do you remember that? Because it seems like he doesn't remember it. He thinks it as nothing more than a dream, right? Because he's having all these crazy dreams about Nazis and him running through the forest naked. Wait, I do have some of the Nazi thing. I thought I did. But you know what I mean?
Well, I love the idea of it being like super painful and shit.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's a true, at least in my mind anyway, that's a true representation of like how it would feel. Because I think all of these things, not just not just the idea of a werewolf, but like, a wolf man, a fucking Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Dracula, Frankenstein. The idea of being one of those creatures, I think, would be quite painful. I don't think it would be, oh, it's so much fun. I'm Frankenstein. I'm having so much fun. Like, they're supposed to be in like hideous amounts of pain, and like you don't know what the fuck is going on.
And just like your body stretching into some sort of like you're morphed into something that you're not supposed to be.
Can I screen share something?
Yeah, 100%.
It's a clip from YouTube of just when you're talking about special effects and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a clip
I was
from
for behind the scenes stuff too.
there's a clip from Universal's horror makeup show, and they do like a really short segment about the idea of like that face and shit. Tom's about to do some bold stuff.
I fucking love this thing. It's like a high. I'm smoking weed for everybody, but it's this cool ass vaporizer. Oh, sick. Here we go. Okay. Oh, cool.
I will obviously have to unmute this, right?
Yeah.
First Academy Award window, one of my favorite movies. This one right here. If you know it, kids, yell it out.
American Werewolf in London. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
there he
It was
is.
like Chaga, man.
He's back.
Chaga or whatever. Oh, man.
This is An American Werewolf in London. It came out in 1981. Won the very first Academy Award in 1982.
Yeah,
for best
the
makeup.
very first.
Didn't have a makeup category in Oscars until 1982. It's the first one. First one. Yeah, cool. It still looks great.
I love it.
Yeah.
Especially when I see an actor and make good.
Yeah, David Norton.
His face is transforming. How they do that with makeup?
Not just makeup. Come on over here. It's a combination of old school techniques and practical makeup techniques. First part of the scene is David Norton in traditional appliance makeup. But the next two sequences were these mechanical heads that change shape. These are 2 of the 9 from the movie. These were used in the film.
Wow, cool.
So these are like 38 years old now. So the understructure here was designed by Rick, based on David's face. Sections are cut out and fitted with pistons, which are running on pneumatics.
Pneumatics is air.
Yes, air pressure, right? This is underneath here. This is traditional foam latex, beautiful detailing on these masks. They had to, the scenes in close-ups, they spent some real good time on the detail. They airbrushed the makeup, porcelain dentures, individual eyebrow and eyelash hairs, and then under the cheeks there's bladders which ripple when inflate and deflate rapidly. Okay.
So
It finishes off with real human hair.
Real hair?
Yeah.
Good. Where do you get that?
From kids from Argentina.
Whoa. Dark. That's crazy, dude.
Slightly risque comment there from him.
I know, 100%. I was like, whoa, man. Ukraine would be a little more appropriate, to be honest. But
Dun, dun, dun.
I am very, very sneaky, sir.
That shit is like, I'm telling you, that whole like transformation scene bugs me out. Even when you were talking about like how you think Billy could pull it off, which I feel like he could. And when he goes out east, he's gonna attempt to do stand up, and one of his first jokes is about his girlfriend getting fingered by a doctor. It's fucked.
Interesting.
Everybody check it out on the Richard Chase episode that will be coming out. It's very funny. But I was like, I've always wanted to do improv, and I always thought that he could be well at stand up. I've always thought that I could be, but he could, I feel like, just do it or memorize it. One thing, I wrote a lot of rhymes. Everybody that doesn't know my co-host Billy, go check out my show. But I wrote rhymes all the time, right? So many, right? All these songs. I can only recite a couple of my songs, and I have tons. But he was able to memorize, and he would do it without a piece of paper, really, when we'd be recording our songs together, and I never knew how he was able to do that. Like, even if I had to do live shows, I'd have to do it, but he was able to, like, memorize his verses and shit, like, instantly. I wrote so much I couldn't.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, he kind of strikes me as that kind of person. He just has it.
Yeah, it's weird, man.
Yeah.
And I feel like he could push it out there. That's crazy. That's why I'm saying, like, go watch our reaction to it, because you see me, like, squirm and shit. Because even when I was watching it on mushrooms, bro, outside, I was like slapping my knee and shit, be like, yeah, that's crazy. Oh, fuck. Where you like
Jerking off and all.
Yeah, 100%. Like, coming all over the screen. And it's just crazy because, like, it's that feeling of, like, it makes you feel, like, uncomfortable, but almost, like, cheer for it. You know what I mean? Like, and this is why only certain movies do this to me. But if you can, like, push that shit and, like, you make me squirm in my chair, I'll be like, whoa. Like, there's scenes of movies, I'm trying to think of some recently, that my wife can't watch, that I can watch, that she'll be like, she'll turn away and I'll be like, whoa, nuts. Like, just how the effects are, like, so good. You know what I mean?
There's I think the biggest thing for me with that scene, and the most jarring thing, and I think nobody puts much attention on it, is the fact of that whole scene is so brightly lit with, like, fluorescent lighting.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there is no standard, like, movie lighting there. It's just fluorescent lights, which makes it, like,
so weird. And John Landis is like, yeah, you can do it. It's fine. Just figure it out, man.
Wild, like, and even if you listen to Rick Baker on Joe Rogan, when he talks about that, like, and he talks about the fact that John Landis was like, oh yeah, by the way, for this transformation scene, we're just going to use, like, fluorescent tube lighting, so we're not going to actually light it in any way or anything, so we're going to see absolutely everything. And, like, apparently the makeup team were like, what are you talking about?
I know, and it's crazy. There's so many, like, you actually kind of see it within his face of the pain. When he's, like, sitting there and they do transform his face, like, they've done, like, I don't know, it's a bang up job. Probably the best werewolf transformation scene ever done, just because of the authenticity of it. Like, when he's like, I'm burning up, Jesus Christ, like, that line, Jesus Christ, I'm burning up, will always stay stuck in my head. And then he, like, has to, like, strip down, like I said in the commentary, like, he's some sort of crackhead. Like, he's just like, I gotta get fucking naked. And then you're freaking out, and you're feeling these things you've never felt. You know what it's like? Do you know what it's like?
Tell me, what is it like?
It's like when you first get your first boner, you start growing those hairs in weird places.
It's when you get your first pube, it's like 3 feet long and curly.
I was gonna say, I can't say it on air, but I'll tell you when I first got my first pube, I didn't do this. I did something equally as embarrassing. But one of my buddies that I've reminisced about horror movies many times, he's moved away when he got his first boner. He showed his mom.
Nice.
He's like, look, like, and the thing is, it's innocent because it's like, look what I can do, you know, like.
Now the question is, what did she do with it?
She started furiously sucking it up. Like, dude, that's fucked up, man. She's probably like, oh, that's supposed to be for private time. But, like, John Landis, when he talks about this film and that transformation scene, he talks about it, how it has to do with puberty and shit like that. And how he's like, you know, when you're young and you're going through stuff.
Yeah, there's a
He says some crazy shit.
Yeah,
Like, whoa,
there's
you're fucking chill, actually. Guy.
There's an interview with him, and I know the exact one you're talking about because I listened to it last night when I was walking the dog. And I remember like I just had it on in the background as I was walking the dog, and I was like kind of paying attention until I started to hear like, you're horny and like
I
you're
know.
like your balls are full and like you're like, and I was
And
like,
he's
what,
like, the hand
what's
thing
going
is
on?
supposed to be reminiscent of like a boner, is what he like essentially said.
Because I was just like, wait, hold on, wait a
Different
second.
time
What?
though. It's crazy how many. I'm just saying this in general when it comes to horror movies, pop culture nowadays. It has to be. It's like, you know what it is. It's like structured in styrofoam. Like it's like three layers thick. I've had too much wine, obviously. Fucking too much weed. But like it's a thick lining around everyone's fucking brain where they can't handle like people criticizing something, or even like making fun of something, or making fun of somebody's different, like culturally different. It's crazy. It's stupid, man. And you can tell that John Landis didn't grow up in that. He made fucking Animal House and Blues Brothers. And Kentucky Fried Chicken, that weird, whatever the fuck they call that movie. That weird movie that I watched like once or twice, and it's like, oh, let's just make it a dirty comedy. And that shit was okay for people to be like, oh, let's go in these girls' room and then sift through their underwear.
So I know I've mentioned it several times on the show before, but I have gotten quite friendly. I would consider him a friend. Um, Paul Davis, who wrote the book about the making of this movie, and he made the documentary Beware the Moon, which was like I guess the definitive documentary about the making of this. And he got really friendly with John Landis while he was writing the book and making the documentary. And he was telling me like some, I wouldn't say like behind the scenes stuff, but he was saying like John is like a super cool guy, like, and really like straight edge in like the sense of like he'll just say things like he is just him. He doesn't really like
blunt.
Yeah, like, and he doesn't really conform to like all that like Hollywood like politically correct everything, and he just is who he is. He enjoys what he enjoys, and he makes jokes about whatever he wants.
Yeah. Which I feel like he could be, and I feel like it would be. I would love to talk to that dude, because just considering I love this movie. So talk about kind of things that are against the grain and not woke. In the movie, David wakes up after a late night, obviously as the werewolf. He's parading around in his full regalia of fur and fangs and murderous abilities. He finds himself obviously in the zoo, the enclosure, with actual wolves. Naughton was not only fearful of wolves, but admitted later he would prefer it if the trainers weren't women. Do we have to have women trainers here, fellas? I'm naked, you know. He protested to Landis and the crew, to no avail. One of the wolves approached him during the take, which was not expected. Dogs will always give you a warning, or warnings if they're not comfortable with you, but wolves just look at you with those very distant yellow eyes, Naughton said.
Do you think he didn't want chicks as the handlers because he has a little small mushroom?
Yeah. We can't call it a mushroom if it's not cut, though.
Oh, yeah, so...
It's more of like, I don't even think. It's got the little, if some people don't, but it's got the little lip at the end, you know? The little, like, the turtleneck. You gotta, like,
yes.
peel it down.
What could you call that, though, if it was like...
Oh, man.
So he just has balls and then just foreskin, nothing else.
Yeah, it just meshes into each other. Just like I was like, there's some things I would say before on this show, like especially on Strange Brew, that I try to like hold back on exposing too much about myself.
I've probably said more on this than I probably should be as well, like some of the comments I'm making.
Everything has been fun though. Everything has been tamed to an extent. I feel like we've done definitely worse on my end of this shit. But like I would agree, right? And imagine that would get you into the character though. Being like surrounded by real wolves. Bro.
Yeah, I seen, because I think he might have said something to Landis about it. He was like, I'm not comfortable with the whole idea. And then he was like, oh, don't worry, they've been fed before we shoot the scenes, so they won't be like hungry for anything. And I think he was like trying to make a joke. He wasn't even making a joke about they won't be hungry for eating you. I think he was making like a haha, look, they won't be hungry, or Yeah, they won't be hungry, and they're not going to eat that little small thing. I think is what he was referring to.
Yeah. I'm sure. And like either way, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I don't have some sort of hog on me. I'll admit that. I think it's nice, but it's not like some sort of like monstrous thing. I feel like if you had that, maybe you want to parade it. But even like, I'm pretty comfortable in my own self, and I feel like I'm like I don't want people looking because that's the first thing you
Yeah,
look at when you're a girl,
yeah,
guy, whatever. Like
yeah.
it's just like if you are a man, Nick, it's like it's the first thing. No, there's nothing else there, right? Guys have their shirts off all the time. Uh, but you know, I get why he felt that. It's cold. It's London. It's rainy. It's dreary. But it's just funny because I want to talk about the Piccadilly Circus scene because that shit's crazy. Like full blown, like everything goes fucking nuts. And obviously before this, to kind of bring us into the scene, like David goes into the porn theater. But this is it's kind of weird because he like transformed, but he's kind of going in and out. It feels like because doesn't he goes in the subway system. He goes in the subway. He attacks that like hoity-toity dude.
Oh yeah, like the businessman
But that
guy.
might have been like the night before, right? But the way it seems in the film is that he goes from transforming to he's fine, and then he's like in the theater or whatever. I guess it is. I think it is the next day, when he's telling everyone that they need to lock him up, and then it's funny because they were supposed to be a cartoon show actually in the theater. You know this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's supposed to be a cartoon, but it was because back when John Landis, I think, went when he was younger, it was they played cartoon movies and stuff like that, and now it was an adult film theater.
Yep, the good old pawn blue movies.
Can I say something?
You can.
I don't know why Pee Wee Herman has such a big bad rap. Paul Rubens for doing that. And in his defense, I don't know what out the fuck else he was doing, but that alone, I don't understand the purpose. I don't understand the purpose of the porn theater if you cannot whack off in the porn. What do you do? Like, what are you doing? Like, I get before. Okay,
Yeah, like
listen,
why am I here?
Why? Okay, I get like before they were available on VHS. Okay, I understand that to an extent. But in the 80s, they were definitely readily available, I'm sure, in VHS. Porn was banned, actually, to like the 60s in a lot of regards. So you had like these underground stag films. I get going to see that. Like, whoa, seeing someone else.
Maybe he
naked.
was like, what did they call him? Like a voyeur or whatever it is, where like
Oh,
they want to like
yeah.
fucking.
I thought he was
It's
like a
like,
booth thing. Like, I thought it was like a booth. You know, there's a booth where you can like click. It just doesn't make sense to me, man. Especially past the time of when you can get on VHS.
yeah,
Like,
but
the
even
whole
still, like, surely
purpose-
God, right? I know he's fucking Pee Wee, but surely he
20
could have
minutes in
used.
this.
Surely he could have used the Pee Wee thing to like get
Well,
chicks or like do something else. Like
100%.
he doesn't have to do that, really, does he?
Vernon Troyer as Mini-Me could do it. Why couldn't he? You know? So, like, have you ever seen Surreal Life? I'm gonna get way off topic, but like, I'm still into the idea. Like, listen to this. I just don't get it. I'll say that I don't get it. Like, where it's just like, what would you're waiting then later? It's like so an hour later, 20 minutes later, 2 hours later, you finally get home in your privacy, and then you're like, all right, now I'm gonna close my eyes and remember everything I saw from that film.
Yeah, like could you not like just have an
That's
imagination
how
in
I
the
get
first
it.
place and you wouldn't have to do any of that?
I don't understand it. So and then that's also a very great scene. You know, the whole time, you know, Jack's telling him to like off himself. He's like, you guys stop this curse from keeping like going on so you don't infect other people. Kind of a hint towards STIs and stuff like that, actually, I think. But like the idea that you have to cut it off, like the following, right? You got to stop that shit.
John Landis was a pretty sexy man. A lot of sexual innuendo there.
He loved it. All of them. You know, he definitely added all that stuff into it. And then so when he ends up like going and then talking with Jack, he's finally like, man, I'm a skeleton. Like if you don't stop this now, you're just gonna keep doing this and you're gonna keep adding victims. And it's kind of cool how he decays like the whole time, you know? Like
Yeah,
it's
I
a
love that
cool,
his like transition throughout the whole
yeah,
movie.
it's great. And then the finally closing ending of the film when they're all warning him and telling him, and then there's like, it's very funny, like the couple that is kind of like oblivious to the whole situation, but still like acknowledges that they were murdered by a werewolf, but are very like comical in that theater. And everyone knows he's about to turn and he's hallucinating. And then there's people in the theater. It's such a great scene because this guy's like, it seems like he's getting off, right? He's going crazy for the movie. And people like in the background like, all right, buddy, man, I know it's good. It's not that good. And then for you to realize what is happening in that moment would be terrifying.
Yeah, the whole thing is so chaotic as well at the end. It just like switches into another gear, and like I think it
That's why it's
really
so good.
it really conveys though, I think, the chaos of like that's the closest I think we could feel to like what it may feel like to transform into something like this, how chaotic and how like fucking mental and insane. It doesn't necessarily, because sometimes I think in situations like this with, I mentioned like the likes of Dracula, Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon, all these different things, the idea that there's a human behind these creatures and that this may be something that's happening to them that they have literally like no control and don't even consciously really know what's going on.
That's what I was saying. Like
It's so chaotic.
that with a, like, you're right, with a vampire, right? Once you're bit, Interview with the Vampire is a very good, but yet weirdly, that movie's pedophilic in my opinion.
Sexy.
It's fucking weird, dude. The whole movie is fucking weird. The novel's weird. I don't really like it. Like I don't give a shit. I liked it when I was younger. I don't know, because I was like a kid, be like, ooh, vampires and Brad Pitt. But it's fucking weird. It's very weird. But that idea that you accept it and you kind of get used to it in some regard. But like, even as John Landis said, you're kind of like a sucker. Like, it's like you're a schmuck. You're fucked, man. You have, like, you're done. Like, there's no easy way out of this. You either consistently kill until somebody else kills you at some point from being this monstrous creature, or you off yourself. You know what I mean? Like, there's no in between. You're a horrible monster. You might be a great person and give to kids and help out everybody that you meet and the nicest guy in the world. But if at every full moon you're murdering 10 people, it's not really like you can't come back from that.
I was kind of, and I guess it's probably a good thing of how it all ended. Like, but I'm surprised they didn't allude more to like, has he left like potential, not victims alive, but has more gone on there?
Oh,
Has he has he like infected or whatever you want to call it?
Anybody else? Yeah, I agree. And because then we flip it to the idea of the whole chaos ensues. Landis set up a free screening of Blues Brothers and invited 300 members of London's Metropolitan Police Force. They loved it, and would you know, suddenly I had permission to shoot in Piccadilly Circus. Landis said they were allowed to have the film between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. It explains like how very dark it is. And on 2 February nights, and we're able to stop traffic 3 times for 2 minutes maximum, which is like not that long for filming of a movie. Is like it should have been 5 minutes, whatever. Like, it's a filming of a movie. And now, if there's a place there actually been a lot of films filmed in Brantford, Ontario, which is not far from here where I used to live in. Silent Hill was filmed there. They did Handmaid's Tale there numerous times. And they cut off everything. You can't drive over there. Sorry, they're filming. Like, there's don't go downtown. Sorry, but and then so before the werewolf filming had been banned for 15 years, I guess. Landis made a cameo in the scene as a pedestrian who gets hit by the car. Oh, goes through the window. I forgot about that.
Which is wild, considering I found out only today, actually, from Paul Davis, that he actually done his own stunt.
Yeah, I know. I saw that too.
Which is why I always thought, like, I was like, oh yeah, he has a cameo. Yeah, I was like, oh, he had a cameo as that guy, but it's obviously not him being hit by the car and going through the glass.
Yeah.
But he was like, no, that was him.
Fuck Tom Cruise breaking his ribs, man, that weirdo. Just inhale that shit. But I'll say that the ending of this film makes me sad. I said that while I was on mushrooms to my wife. I said, "It's so sad," and then she was like, "Why is it sad? He has to die." He has to die.
Yeah, but so for me, without sounding like a fucking pretentious, like a fucking prude or something, I feel like it's for me anyway. It's a beautiful, like classical horror story ending in the sense of like, the monster, he doesn't know what's going on. It's all this pain and suffering. It's not as like glitzy and happy and great, and it's not necessarily always like that the villain is like jerking off over the fact that he's killing people. This thing has like taken him over. He doesn't know what's going on. He can't define between reality and fucking visions, and all this chaotic shit happens, and then only for him to die in that way, like in front of her and in front of everybody, is like kind of like that. Like it feels like such a like
poetic justice.
Yeah, like it's just like a classic like horror story.
Dude, I just realized that fucking movie, that porn movie they played in the theater, he made it.
Oh,
so I had
weird.
to change the script to show a porno called The Best Smutty British Tradition. See you next Wednesday. We made the porno ourselves, and the first scene we shot. And they starred Lindsay Drew, who was a page 3 girl at the time. She went on to have an impressive porn career. If anyone wants to check her out, see, I just watched some stuff on it. I thought that they just grabbed the film that was famous already. The fact that they filmed their own cheesy, like, because that's the most tit shots in the film is like during that part. Did not know that. That's fucking wild. That they're like, all right, we got to shoot this now just to make it. I'm surprised. Why, if they would have gave them more gore for less nudity, I wonder if it would have played out. You know what I mean? But I feel like they're always like upset about the gore stuff.
I just googled her name.
Is it a fun Google?
Oh God.
Is it fun?
Define fun. All I'll say is I don't think she retired at the right age.
Okay. Now I feel like I have to see this. All right, to end this on this, we're gonna fucking. How'd you spell it right?
I didn't. Like spell checked it or whatever. Is it Linzi?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I see. Oh, whoa, man. Yeah, you should have cut it off, man. That's crazy. It's funny when they're like 80 and they're still trying to do it, man.
It's like, Jesus.
It's like, why, man? Like, I guess some people are definitely into that shit, so like, why not make the money off it? But like, I feel like the older you get, the greasier it gets. This is why, like, I've admitted that I don't like I enjoy 80s porn because it has like there's some artistic thing to it. It's not just like bam, 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 thank you, ma'am. Like in this weird like here's my pizza. You want my pizza? You know what I mean? Like, it's not like this. It actually is kind of like that. It's exactly like that. But it's not like the weird stuff nowadays. It's just simplified and kind of artistic. And I feel like everything is so smash and grab. Pun definitely intended. But, man, I love this fucking film.
This conversation was way more sexy.
I thought it was going to be. The whole time, too. Very weird, man. So fucking funny.
Strange.
But honestly, gotta say, this is like I had some wine and I got recently high for the last 15 minutes because at the end of the show it's like let's go all in. But I really have fun talking about these. Like, I like all horror movies and I will give everything a try. Even if it's shitty, I will critique it and have a fun time talking about it. But there's something about these movies that really hold residency in people's lives, and if they like really love them, it just sticks with you. You know what I mean? And it sticks with me. Like this movie, like when I revisited it when I was older, I was like, wow, man, I'm so sick of the new shit, man. Bring back the old shit.
I know, yeah. If only we could have shit like this again.
Man, just
Thanksgiving was like that for me a bit.
Shoot the same way. Do like I don't know what fucking 2 million would be nowadays. Probably astronomical, which is crazy. But like shoot like cheap budget sit with practical effects. I'll watch it. I'll be like, you'll get one fucking ticket. Thanksgiving,
I'm telling you. Thanksgiving.
I know. I know, and I wanted to see it. It wasn't playing around me. I have to drive an hour to go see it. And then because of the way it's gonna happen, I'm busy next week. I'm busy the week after, and then it's Christmas. I'm like, I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna have to buy it and fucking watch it online. But
Dude.
I have a pretty big TV, but I want a 75-inch. I want a fucking big boy.
I have a 75-inch here if you're wanting it. Get it?
Wait. Come on. I got it. Don't worry. I do have that. Give me. It's somewhere. I can't remember. I have to name it. I have to name all the shit because it's so hard to like tab back and forth. Well, either
Wasn't there some bullshit though that came with the Roadcaster where it was like a card that you could like write?
Yeah.
What was on the things?
But I would have to have interchanging cards.
Yeah,
because
true.
I have so many now, and it's just like every time I'm like I was getting better at it, but now because I don't know what's on it and I haven't studied it like I did before, it's just like I add new sound effects. I can't remember what the fuck they are like a week.
Just press whatever, it'd be grand.
That's what Billy does. Billy just like picks one out, and sometimes it goes really well with it. There's been times where like, whoa, that went perfectly well, and then other times it's like, not it.
I mean, it makes it funny.
I had a lot of fun on this, and I gotta tell you, like, I will 100%. Like, I think I said 8.5, but I'm saying like 9 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10. You did ask what I would not. There's something I don't like about this film.
Yes.
And it's weird. It's going full circle. I don't like how prolonged the sex scene is.
Yeah, especially when we're not really getting anywhere.
No, I don't like any of that shit. My wife knows. It's just like, I just show them like going into the room and closing the door. I'll be like, all right, I know what they're doing. Like, I don't get the whole idea of like, you know, like Nightmare on Elm Street 5, where at the beginning it's just like their bodies in blue, like just rubbing on each other. Like, what's that getting me?
Yeah, I always find that weird.
I understand what's happening. I'm just seeing skin.
Yeah, it is, especially with, like, if it's just like a quick cut and it's just edited in there just to kind of like get the impression across. Fine, whatever, if it's like a split-second thing. But when it kind of like goes on and on, like it starts to feel like one of those like early 90s like shitty like fucking like women's movies, you know, where it's all like all the music comes on.
Why do they
like
need to do that though? And even the idea of like, okay, why do you have to prolong it first of all, right? But like, why is it added in? Like, if we ever establish the relationship, just like, I just don't understand why they need to be like, he wanted to be longer too. They wanted more scenes and they got to cut. I'm like,
yeah, like part of me wondered before, was it to like try and push that narrative of being like, oh, I'm so like primal, I'm such a beast, I'm so like, but like it didn't really convey like that though, because when David is just David, I'm like, you're like some like weird goofy motherfucker. I can't like take
it can't be
like,
sensual. If he's gonna be animalistic, it's gotta be like he throws her against the wall and she like flies into the wall and she's like, whoa, I kind of like that.
Yeah, and then he starts like fucking sprouting those big long fingers. And he's like, bitch.
Yeah. Man, by far though, like, what would you? If there's something you don't like?
Not necessarily. No, my only
cynical,
critique.
So I feel like maybe.
No, my only critique is probably the same thing that I said before, which was, there's certain like pieces of dialogue and stuff that David has, and when he's just himself, that I'm like, is this supposed to be so contrasted? Like where it's like going from like weird, like fucking goofy, like friendly guy to beast or whatever, but like,
I get why maybe that's why people looked at the script like oddly, because like it is his mannerisms throughout the film is like he's not traumatized by his best friend being murdered in front of his eyes by some sort of creature. That's what I always took from it. Is like he doesn't seem like he's went through. Everyone deals with trauma differently, but
he's just like chilling. But like, I guess that doesn't even
he's like
bother
Jeffrey
me
Dahmer after
as much. Yeah,
like,
there's just
fine.
there's just like, I don't know. Like I said earlier, that scene where he's lying in the hospital bed and she's like reading her book or whatever, and like he's like, "Oh, you're such a beautiful girl," and like it's just real. And she's like, "Oh, I thought you were sleeping." He's like, "Oh, I was sleeping." I'm like, "What? Where is this? Like,
I know.
What is this?" Like, even some of the stuff between David and fucking Jack is it? Yeah, like even at the slaughter lamb and stuff, there's a couple of like little things he says where I'm like, wow, that seemed like really goofy and out of place. I was like, I don't know
But,
if
like,
that's like an intentional thing.
That's why Jack's character needs to be in the film to balance it out. And there's a part of me that actually likes that about the movie. That David's character is like, the David character is weird. He's like a weird, like, I don't, the whole thing. And that's why, like, eventually, I don't know, I think we should write it. I'm pitching it out there, do a second one of our own idea. But the one that I saw in another show is essentially that, like, where's his family? Where's the people that know him from America or Jack? And then you maybe come investigate or whatever. That's not my pitch. That was someone else's. But, like, there is the idea of, like, you don't see, if you don't know much about a character, you can build more on that character if there's not much, but the movie is done well, right? So, like, that house that October built, everyone's, like, curious. Because we're supposed to eventually, we want to do the second one, right? So, like, at some point, we don't know what's going on, right?
Oh, we need to do that soon, actually.
Yeah, because I remember that recently. I was like, so this idea you have to build characters upon characters because now people are curious. I feel like there's definitely room for this, but like I said, great flick, best werewolf movie, I would say, out there for Shizzy.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I haven't seen Dog Soldiers yet. So.
Yeah, like, again, like, look, I can't, like, genuinely, I couldn't compare Dog Soldiers to this in a sense.
Yeah.
I just, like, Dog Soldiers is just one of those, like, fun, like, hack and slash, like, just cool idea.
Yeah.
There's some werewolves and shit. It's kind of wild.
I've heard good things. I've heard other people say it's their favorite werewolf movie.
Yeah, it's more like that's more like have a couple of beers with your friend and, like, stick it on and, like, we can just kind of laugh and have fun.
That's what I'm excited. We're doing that for a commentary for everyone that does know. I've never seen it. And it's just weird. I love I love Teen Wolf when I was a kid. You know what? I love fucking, oh man, that Canadian show. I can hear the theme song in my head. It's going to drive me insane.
And I think I know what you're talking about. And that used to be on reruns here.
Dude,
100 times a day.
It's going to drive me crazy. Everything got turned upside down. Oh my God, I can hear it. Oh, as soon as you say it, man.
Christ.
Canadian Werewolf show.
Was it Big Wolf on Campus?
Yes.
Dude.
Yes. Dude.
Oh my God.
That was my favorite show when I was a kid. All of the episodes are, like, free on YouTube. They look like shit, but we have to do commentaries.
I swear to God, right? I watched that literally every day. Every fucking day. I used to think I was that dude.
Okay, to end the episode, I'm going to bring up the the beginning. Dude, I was obsessed
God, that
with
is
this shit.
Insane. I can't believe that.
It's so weird that you watched it, because, like, it was definitely a Canadian thing.
The week before he returns to school for his senior year, popular high school jock Tommy Dawkins is bitten and turned into a werewolf.
Yeah.
The only person that Tommy can turn to for help is the school nerd and goth fantasy guild president, Martin J. Dingle. Now Tommy and Martin, while still looking for a cure for Tommy's condition, fight a whole slew of baddies in Pleasantville, including mummies, vampires, 50s bullies, and witches. They are later joined by a kickboxer, Laurie Baxter, who has transferred from Pleasantville Catholic.
For everybody watching, for the audio listeners, suck a dick, but we're just going to play the beginning of this episode. Oh, it's the second episode.
This is fucking so good.
Oh, man.
I can't hear the audio.
Can't? No. I can hear your audio. Here, you pull it up. Look up YouTube Big Wolf on Campus, because I can hear your audio. He's trying to do the song.
Dude.
Man, it's we have to cover this soon. Big Wolf on Campus episodes, whatever. You'll see, like, the first one that I clicked. It's like the second episode. Weird, my audio doesn't work. That always happens. I have to, like, change something.
Oh my! I can't believe that,
dude. You know how nostalgic and awesome it would be if. Yeah, it's the same episode. He's trying to do the song. I forgot about this.
I used to own this
town.
I used to own this city. I used to own this burg. This burg.
Wolf on campus. Fucking hell.
Yeah, so good.
Could you keep it down? Some of us are trying to forget you live here.
Sorry, sis, can't keep it down. I've entered a songwriting competition, and this little ditty may be my ticket to the glamorous world of rock and/or roll stardom.
You mean you'd leave home if you won?
Yes.
Well, good luck. I mean, if you need anything, just let me know.
Man,
So cringy.
brings me so back though, dude. I don't like this so much. Come on, it's so much.
Big problem.
I feel like I wanted to be him.
Yeah.
Crafting a little tune
Like I want to be the
theme
werewolf.
song, if you will.
Can't wait.
You're interrupting me in the middle of a potential masterpiece. You better have a good reason.
And like all the bad guys and stuff.
I know. It's so cheesy, but man, this was my childhood.
I'd say that's a pretty good reason.
Used to own this town.
Now it's all turned upside down. I wish I could figure out till you think it's just a space.
Dude.
It's like Blink
Oh my
182,
God.
dude. Is this a fucking blast in the past? I realized when Anton was on the show still that we wanted to do this because it's all over it's all over YouTube for free. You guys stop it. We have to like do it from episode 1 and like do like the whole season.
Dude, I would love to do that.
Dude, we could do 3 episodes in an hour and a half. Easy peasy.
So good.
Dude, it's so crazy that you fucking watch this shit. It will be so funny. You need to get some hash, man. Figure it out. Fucking find a prostitute, and we have to get high and watch that.
Yeah, like I could probably get it. It's just one of those things. It's not like easily accessible. Like 90% of the guys I train jiu-jitsu with all like potheads. So I mean, it's not that difficult.
Okay,
But
I
we
was
should
gonna
get
say, how
like
is it
fucking.
not?
We
It was
should get
illegal
like
here once.
fucking like stick on fucking werewolf faces.
Oh, dude, I've always wanted a cool werewolf mask. I don't know. I'll have to like.
So fucking
I will get a
expensive.
dollar store one. We have to do that. Okay, everybody that's watching, listening, if you stuck it out this long, we appreciate you, especially the ending. It's like, man, that show is like why I like werewolves and stuff. I was like 10 watching that shit. When I was all into this stuff, it was on YTV. It's a Canadian thing. And it's cool because we get to branch that. We're in the other side of the world, but yet there's so many things that are nostalgic to us. We should do that soon. We're going to get our Christmas stuff done and then,
Yeah, we could start the new year with like pumping that out every now and again.
dude, I would. It's easy. It's an easy hour, 20 minutes. Like,
That's so wild though. I actually can't believe that. I had forgotten about that show.
I know. I only remembered it like a year or two ago. And I was like, it all got turned upside down.
You know what? There's probably lots more stuff like that as well that there's like crossovers from.
Dude, there's this like weird alien show that I used to like, or movie that was like a Disney or Family Guy thing or something. I can remember in the back of my head. I have no idea what it's called. It's also like, you ever seen Warriors of Virtue? They're like the kangaroo.
Yep.
So I love that as a kid. I had the action figures. Rewatched it when I was like, I don't know, early 20s. It's like trash. It's so bad. Like so bad. And I used to love that shit.
There's
But-
like the first thing that shows up is like related to that is Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah.
Another Canadian show, right?
Yeah. Actually, I have a beat that I'm eventually going to write over it that is I can use, and it's Goosebumps beat.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's like sick. It's pretty well done. I have to write something really clever. But let's sign off so I can show you my rhyme that I've recently wrote that is way too offensive for this.
Yeah, look, if you survived this long, thanks for listening. As always,
100%.
like Tom has said multiple times, best way to support both of our shows is check out the Patreons. You know, if you can grab a T-shirt or anything like that and
Even
rep
just
it, or
subscribe to the YouTube. If
yeah,
you're not on the YouTube or the Rumble, are you under First Class Horror or ClassHorrorCast on Rumble?
on Rumble it is. Bear with me.
Yeah. So we're gonna start releasing some stuff on Rumble. I've been just starting to do that, and we're getting more and more people on the Rumble page for Strange Brew Podcast. I want people. A lot of our stuff is visual on both sides, so I want people to really like subscribe to the YouTube, and then even the Rumble, you get more uncensored stuff. It's on an app now. You can cast it to your TV and shit. Sick.
Where am I? It is under ClassHorrorCast on
Okay.
Rumble.
Yeah, go check that out because we're going to start doing some live stuff and putting up episodes live. It's going to be fun, so everyone make sure to subscribe to that. And yeah, there's going to be stuff on Strange Brew side about werewolves, real werewolves, or people at least that are accused of being werewolves. I have a bunch of ideas. I actually have a serial killer called a werewolf at some point to keep this train chugging. I'm like, we do a lot of vampires, you know? Like we just did Richard Chase. He's the Sacramento vampire. We've done tons of other, like we did the window vampire. That's what they call this guy. He was I think he was from Argentina. And he like bring full circle. And then he drank blood from fucking children or some shit. I can't remember the episode. It was years ago. But, you know, there's a lot of vampire stuff. Let's talk about some werewolves, you know?
There's a lot of cool crossovers between the two shows. So I think there's
100%.
parallels there. Anyone who's a fan of Strange Brew, I think, is probably a fan of horror movies or freaky shit. And anyone who's a fan of scary movies is probably a fan of a lot of the stuff that is talked about on Strange Brew.
Yeah, they got a Beetlejuice butt plug.
Okay, I wasn't going there, but fair enough.
You know what? Listening right now. Good for you guys. You guys are interesting people. Come on, it was funny. That's the first thing I thought. I was like, what's the weirdest shit Beetlejuice butt plug?
It just made me think it was oddly specific. So I kind of wonder, do you have one or have you like searched for one before?
No, I've thought of the weirdest. I just instantly. That's how quick I am. Instantly thought. I don't. It would have to be the snake thing that he is.
I don't know. There's something behind that. Everybody
I'm quick.
need to look into it more.
The only thing I can think of is the Hulk one, and then I was like, what's more weird than that?
Beetlejuice is probably weirder than that, to be fair.
Is it him like this, or is it like it's got to be the snake?
It's the dude with the shrunken head.
But then you have to like, it's too much to get in at once. Okay, we gotta end this.
Yeah, this is going off the rails quickly.
All right, everybody love everybody. This is what I gotta say, especially for this one. Stay horny for horror, ladies.
Oh, nice.
And gentlemen. All right.